There are no big villains, no elaborate plot, no action, no drama. By every logic we know, this movie shouldn't work. Yet, My Neighbor Totoro feels like magic. Watching it feels less like watching a movie and more like watching a dream. Even after it ends, it doesn't really stop. It still goes on in your mind, and that made me ask, what is it that makes the world of My Neighbor Totoro so alive? And that's what I'm trying to figure out in this video. So let's begin. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to be clear about what this video is and what it isn't. This isn't a review or reaction. This is me looking at the film through the lenses of a filmmaker and trying to understand what is it that actually makes the movie feel so alive. And we're gonna do it in three parts. What the movie makes us feel, why the movie creates it, and why does it even matter? Well, I'm a 3D artist, and like most of us, I also want to make a movie of my own someday. And this is my attempt at trying to understand the theories, even before putting it all to practice. And this video starts a series where I want to take great films and then break them down and try to understand what are the things that make them work flawlessly as they do. Alright, so before you go any deeper, I'm gonna assume all of you have seen the movie and I don't have to worry about spoiling it for you. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Like most Studio Ghibli films, My Neighbor Totoro also excels at its world building and character writing. But what stands out for me most is how deliberate it is with its themes. You feel that intention right from the beginning. The opening text, typography, design, along with the music solidifies it into your subconscious that this is going to be a gentle, whimsical, and magical experience. And once you're inside that world, something interesting happens. You stop asking what happens next. The reason is the movie keeps you in the present. You neither have any context to the past, nor you are in any rush to find out what happens in the future. And that's the beauty of it. The first sequence is just a family moving into a new house. No conflict, no setup for a big event, just observation of the daily life. When Mei and Satsuki sit in the back of the truck, they aren't acting, they are just reacting to the surroundings. They are kids being kids. There's no pressure on them on becoming something, and also there's no consequence for not becoming something. It feels like watching someone's life through a window. And that's what makes it feel so alive. The movie is like your grandparents telling you a story. It achieves that, especially with its visual storytelling and staying thematically true. Now remember, we don't see the mother from the starting until they visit her in the hospital, and we see the whole journey through a montage. And what a beautiful sequence that was. This is the visual storytelling that makes you fall in love with the world. And by this point, you realize nothing important is happening. Yet, you are not bored. You like the pace. You like watching all the characters interact with each other and also the environment. You like the sibling dynamic Mei and Satsuki have. Now, this is interesting for me. This is a polar opposite to my preferences. I hate it when the plot doesn't move forward. For me, it's like every sequence should contribute to the final outcome of the movie, and when it doesn't do that, I get bored. But here, it feels different. It's not like you're just watching a movie, more like you're watching your own everyday life. You feel like you are a part of the story. The movie takes its time. It lets an action finish. It doesn't rush at all. There are a lot of examples of this, but a seemingly small example is the acorn falling from the stairs. The movie lets it fall. It doesn't cut away quickly or speed up the pace. It's all natural. And because of scenes like that, Nothing feels performed, it all feels observed. Now, I absolutely adore how Mei always follows Satsuki around and mimics everything she does. This is the storytelling mastery of Miyazaki. He puts so much effort into these seemingly little details that eventually make the whole story bind together and feels so much more alive. These are very simple but realistic rules of life that he never seems to forget to implement in his movies. And we can see that. Themes like this are so intertwined to his movies that we rarely notice those. And by the time we notice those, we have already forgotten that we are watching just a movie. By the time we are so deep into the story that it just feels like we are a natural extension of the movie. Again, storytelling mastery. These feelings doesn't happen accidentally. These come from very deliberate creative choices. Here, the biggest choice the movie takes is removing urgency. There's no villain pushing the story forward. There's no ticking clock to escalate things. And also there is no constant escalation of the plot. Now because of that, the movie doesn't need to justify each and every scene. Remember the scene where Mei and Satsuki grow trees with Totoro? Was that real or they were just dreaming? We don't know that. It's intentionally ambiguous, and that's absolutely fine because it becoming true or not, it doesn't take away anything from the story. One can argue it actually elevates the experience. These moments are not here to move the plot, they're here to signify how the characters are feeling. Tell me that's not beautiful. Remember the bust up scene? Can you imagine today's movies making us wait for so long? Now, everything is fighting for our attention. So, in times like this, watching something that trusts us with silence is like pure oxygen nowadays. Here, the whole environment carries emotions. When it rains, it's not just to make it moody, it carries loneliness. The wind carries restlessness. The silence isn't empty, it's space for you to contemplate your own thoughts. Here, Totoro doesn't arrive with any big spectacles or even an explanation, and that's intentional. It's like how things are to a child's eyes. It's simple, it just is. All these elements work together and they are not fighting to get the most of your attention. And that's why it feels so alive, in my opinion. Well, this is a question with multiple answers, to each their own. My reasoning? It's to study. If I write a story, how would I make the environment a part of the audience experience? And here is what I found. This world is a very well thought out, interconnected system where our characters are just actors in a way. Everything that happens in this movie are the consequences of actions already done even before the timeline of the movie starts. Then it's just a chain reaction of one thing after another that leads us to the end of the movie. There could be 1,000 concepts here, but if it's only one thing I'm taking, that is being deliberate with all the decisions you make while putting together everything in the environment. Every once in a while, I should let the characters rest and the world take the center stage. Because I think that's the thing that can let the viewer feel the world even after the movie's ending. If a movie like My Neighbor Totoro can do so much without big spectacles, villains, or even urgency, then maybe it's not about adding more to the story. Maybe it's about by choosing what not to disturb. This film reminds us that silence isn't empty. Stillness is not wasted space. Every scene shouldn't lead us somewhere to matter. And if you have stayed till here in this video, then I think you understand that instinctively. Because you didn't stay here for some big reaction or big reveal. You stayed here for a feeling. And that's the kind of attention this movie trusts. And frankly, These are the kind of movies I want to study from. Sometimes the story that stay with us the longest are the ones that just let us be present for a while. Okay, how about I leave it here and see you in the next one?